It's 4 o'clock on a Wednesday, and you know what that means, don't you? It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. Woohoo! And today we're going to talk about what makes music sound dated. Yeah, baby. And welcome to the big show. Thank you, fake audience. Thank you, fake band. There it is. Hello, everybody. How are you guys? This topic of what makes stuff sound dated is going to be interesting. Can't wait to talk to you guys about it. Let's see who's in the chat room today. We've got, let's see, we've got Martin Gravel, Bob Gunnerfelt, Ian Shortle, Jesse J. Peck. It's the same people over and over and over. Alex Dillon, Spiritual, Simon Burnham, Michael McGraw, and Andre Stepanian, Pete Mason, Songs from a Headband, Carrie Harchin, Darren Fletcher, Aaron Northern. Hello, one and all. Hey, I want to mention, hello, Peter Rahill. I guess I should just hang out and say hello to everybody real quick. Il Rosso Emile, John Pearson, hey JP, Dan Weber. Anybody else showing up there? All right, well, while the other folks log in and say hello, first of all, I do want to apologize. Oh, I look a little blurry today. There I am. I want to apologize if I'm dopey on today's show. I was working last night. I actually had an 11 o'clock conference call with an attorney last night that went till almost midnight, then was doing some odds and ends, answering emails and such, and sometime around 1:15 in the morning, I decided to figure out the problem that I'm having with the Rodecaster doing that weird little delay feedback loop thing that causes it to sound like it's comb filtered in a tunnel. So I finished working on that sometime around 3 or 3:15 in the morning, went upstairs, got into bed around 3:30. I have no idea what time I fell asleep, but I do know that I woke up at 7, so I had somewhere around 3 to 3.5 hours of sleep, and I'm like stupid today. Really, really out of it. But I am drinking iced coffee. Actually, I should say I'm chugging iced coffee. Ooh, I just banged up my new watch. Check this out. I got a new watch from, I ordered it from Amazon a couple days ago. It was $32. Cheap thrill. I like it. I have got good reviews, but people say don't believe them when they say it's waterproof. It's not. All right, so yes, I did solve it, and Alex Dillon says, how did I solve it? Hello, Michael McGraw, Jan Weilage. I looked at every possible setting. I knew my connections were good, and I went online and started reading about using the Rodecaster with Wirecast. I could not find anybody else that had the same problem. They had some other problems, but not that one. And I was just hitting everything in all the different settings, like channel settings, mix bus settings, effect settings, everything. And I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. Oh, there's a way to kill the USB feed out of the Rodecaster into the laptop. And I really can't even wrap my head around the fact that you can actually, I could be playing music off the laptop into the Rodecaster, have the Rodecaster mix it with whatever else I've got, and send it back into the laptop via the USB, and then it goes to Wirecast. So I turned off the USB feed, and when I turned it back on, it took like 10 seconds for it to latch on. Obviously it's some sort of electronic switch, and not like a toggle switch or something. It's electronic. It's software generated. And when I did it and it came back on, the problem was gone. So I called the office and listened to the answering machine at the office come back through, and it sounded fine. I listened to various effects coming through, those sounded fine. I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and those sounded fine. And I fully expected that when I turned it on this morning, it would be back to its normal crummy sounding self. But no, it sounds fine today. So hopefully that solved the problem. At least now I know if the problem arises again, what it is. I don't really understand why turning off the USB feed and then turning it back on solved the problem. But you know what? It's like, whacking your TV set, giving it a good pound. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, Songs from a Headband says, I like the peace lily plant in the background. Very healthy plant, according to NASA, is it removes 5 different toxins from indoors. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, somebody came over for dinner this past Friday, and they brought that plant. So I didn't have to go to the grocery store and buy new flowers this week. That was a cheap thrill. Yeah, I tried the, believe it or not, Martin Gravel says, the trick of pull the plug and restart. Believe me, I tried that long ago. Actually, you know what? One of the things I did was, remember when you guys submitted songs, not the instrumental, not the percussion cues that we listened to, but a week or two ago we listened to songs from all you guys, so I went back into that file on Disco and I listened to some of the songs again, and I am just absolutely so proud of you guys listening to the stuff that was in there. There were so many good pieces of music in there. JP's song was great, and please, if I leave you out, don't let your feelings get hurt, because I am literally, like, I almost wanted to cancel the show today, but the show must go on. So I listened to JP's thing, I listened to Cass McKenty's thing, I listened to Andre's thing, can't remember. Oh, and Darren Moss's song. And I gotta say, I was just sitting there ear to ear. As a matter of fact, that's part of the reason I stayed up so late, is I listened to many of them 2 or 3 times through and just sat here blasting away and really enjoying it. So nice work, you guys. Got the itchy nose again. Can we hear some more unreleased CSNY music? Well, that didn't go over all that well with YouTube. They blocked that video, so probably not. Also want to let you know that yesterday I had a really super productive road rally meeting with the gentleman who's going to be doing the tech. We met at the office. We wanted to look and see if we should broadcast from the office or broadcast from the house. And he liked the venue here at the house better. So even if we're back in the office, which I hope is the case by the time the road rally rolls around in 6 weeks, we're still going to be broadcasting from the house. So that gentleman will be here for all 3 days. Oops, I've got to turn something off. Sitting here handling all the tech with me. Come on. Quit. There we go. And also Bria will be here, and she'll be handling things like reaching out to the next group of panelists 15 minutes or so before the panels, making sure they're all seated and lit, and get their hair and makeup done and all that kind of stuff. She'll also be moderating the chat room, looking for questions if we have Q&A parts of some of the stuff. I also had an hour-long meeting today with the gentleman who's bringing in sponsors for the road rally, and I made sure to tell him that several of you have mentioned that you would like Isotope to be a sponsor, which they're already very interested. It's just with a lot of sponsors, they want to figure out, okay, so yeah, I'm willing to write the check, but how can we do it? What if they don't want to do a half-hour clinic or infomercial kind of thing. But I impressed upon him that the one thing he had to do in constructing the deal with them, should it come to fruition, and I hope it does, is that they give a really nice discount to all you fine rally people during the road rally on Isotope products. So there you go. Is Rob Shirelli going to be on the virtual taxi road rally? Yes, he will. As a matter of fact, I literally can't talk. I'm so stupid today. I need sleep, damn it. Yeah, I talked to Rob last night for about 45 minutes before I jumped on the call with the lawyers. And so, yeah, Shirelli's going to do it. I called him to tell him he really needs to figure out exactly what he's going to do because, first of all, I need to start getting the schedule finalized and get everybody confirmed so I can put it out there for you guys to see. By the way, we did open up road rally registration yesterday. Hopefully you got that email and clicked the button and registered. Last time I checked, we were somewhere, I think, approaching 500 people that have already registered for it, so I'm happy about that. What else can I tell you? So yeah, Shirelli will be involved, and we are going to do several listening panels. And how that's going to work is we will run taxi listings like we did last year. You guys will submit to those. We will not filter those at all. Everything that is submitted for the panel will then go on to a disco playlist, and one of Bria's jobs will be to spin the electronic wheel of fortune that picks a number, between 1 and, I don't know, if we get like 100, 200 submissions, that whatever number comes up randomly, we will then play that song or play that instrumental track. So I do know that we're going to do at least one instrumental listening panel. Currently, I'm talking about having 3 panelists join me. There are some tech issues involved as far as bandwidth goes. If we want more than 3 people, I need to increase the bandwidth here at the house, which I think I can do through AT&T. So we'll have at least 3, possibly 4 panelists, and we're going to do instrumentals. We're going to do songs for film and TV, and then, as tradition has been for the last several years, we'll do a happy ending listening panel at the end that'll have probably Shirelli, Michael Lloyd, and 1 or 2 other people, and that will be songs for film and TV, possibly instrumentals on that, and songs for records, which I know will make Andre very, very happy. Or no, Darren Moss very happy. So there you go. That's all that. Andre, that's not for me. Hey, also, I want to ask you guys, where are my notes? So while I was in the meeting with the sponsor guy earlier today, he mentioned that there's an app, which and these people are interested in being a sponsor of the rally, and the app is We Should Write Sometime. I don't know if that's what the app itself is called. That's the company, is We Should Write Sometime, WSWS. Or was it RIGHT? I can't remember. Anyway, the bottom line is, what's the dating app? Is it Tinder? I believe it or not, because I'm married, I don't use dating apps. Although that would be fun to see if I could meet my wife on a dating app and take her out on a date, and that might be fun. Anyway. We Should Write Sometime. So I went and checked it out. Basically, you swipe right. That's why I think it might be We Should RIGHT. I don't know. Anyway, it's a collaboration app. It's a way for musicians to meet collaborators, whether it's a multi-instrumental producer person that's looking for a top liner, or a vocalist that's looking for somebody who needs a vocalist, blah, blah, blah. I mean, obviously, we can do all that through Taxi, but I think having the app sounds pretty cool. So There you go. I'm excited. I hope they come on board because I think that our community will love that app, and I think that they will love being loved by all of you. My vision's actually a little blurry today from being so tired. Yeah, Martin Gravel says it won't be a standard road rally, but I'm looking forward to this VRR, virtual road rally. I've got to say, the more work that I get done on it, the more excited I am to do it. The biggest problem I've got is I've got way more stuff than I have hours to do it. And I had a little curveball thrown at me in the meeting with the techie guy yesterday. Each panel will essentially be its own show. He was under the misguided impression that we were just going to hit go at 9 a.m. and just let the stream run all day. But then we would have to set up a green room where the next batch of panelists would actually go online, and probably Bria would have to, check all the signals and make sure everything's good. And then once we're ready to go live at the top of the hour for the next panel, we do a switch and go from whatever is up on the screen, which will be some kind of title card or something after the first panel finishes, and then it'll cross dissolve into the opening for the next panel. And I said, I thought I was going to do it that way in the beginning, but then I realized if we have a technical glitch, the problem is going to be that we would then have to create a new link and send it out to everybody who's watching so that they could re-access once we fired back up. So what we're going to do is each one of the panels will be like its own show. And I think I mentioned this before, which is we will provide you guys on your member page, on your profile on Taxi, you'll have a link that will be up there that will take you to a page on the Taxi website that will have each day's schedule, and it will be kind of like the program that we've used. You remember the booklet we had last year at the Road Rally? Before that, we've had that like fold-out thing that showed all the ballroom panels. So it'll have a panel name, panel description, panelist names, and underneath it, it will have a link that will take you to that panel. So it'll be like 9 a.m., Stephen Pressfield. Press the link, boom, and there you go. Stephen Pressfield. Let's say you can't make the first thing with Stephen Pressfield, but you can make a panel at 2 o'clock. You can just go down the list and go bink and hit that link, and it will take you there. So we're getting it all worked out. It's coming together, but it is scaring the crap out of me that it's only 6 weeks away. I've got a very long to-do list, and I think the staff is quietly chuckling in the background because this year practically all the work is on my shoulders. And they really don't have to do anything because all the millions of things that they take care of behind the scenes and, face to face with you guys at the rally don't need to be done this year. So that's good. They will get a break, which I'm happy for them. And we won't need to load or unload any trucks. Not that I do a whole lot of that myself, but I've been known to carry a few things here and there. Dan Weber says, it's a very good thing for us introverts, the virtual road rally, that is. So I want to tell you, Dan, every year, without fail, for the previous 23 years of doing the road rally, I have had people that say, I really want to go, but I'm an introvert. Believe it or not, and I know nobody ever believes this about me, but I am basically introverted. I mean, none of this is an act. It's, it's not like I turn a switch and, hey, I'm Mr. Personality on Taxi TV. I am who I am, like Popeye. But, yeah, as I mentioned before, if I go to a party, I'm the guy that stands in the corner talking to my wife all the time, although my wife is fairly extroverted, so she just dumps me and goes off and chit-chats with everybody else. And if I drank, that would be okay. I could just sit there and get bombed, but I don't really drink much, so I'm not exactly the life of the party. But every single person who has ever said to me, I'm an introvert, it just totally stresses me out thinking about being, in a hotel with 2,500 other people. Every time they come up to me, usually on the first night, by the end of registration, they come up and grab me and say, man, oh man, I'm having the time of my life. I never thought it'd be so easy to meet people. Everybody's so warm and welcoming and helpful. So I am very proud that the Taxi Road Rally has become famous among introverts for being a place where they can come out of their shell a bit and meet like-minded people. I think that's a really cool thing. I saw, let's see, John Pearson said, Michael, he's still giving away $500 at the top of the event, at the keynote. Every year I give away $500 in cash. I don't know. I can't hand the cash through the camera. I guess I could send a check. I don't know. We're just now starting to talk about the giveaways. And, we've got to get the sponsors all finalized before I know how many of them or if any of them are willing to give us product that we can give away. Here's another interesting thing that came up in my talk with the sponsor guy today. Do you know that virtually all, many if not all, of the companies that make musical gear, whether it's guitars or keyboards or outboard equipment or microphones, that they are sold out of product? That he told me one company told him, I can't remember if it was PRS Guitars, might have been. They were definitely a part of the discussion today. Anyway, one of the companies told him, I can't remember if it was June or July, that they matched their entire sales revenue numbers for all of 2019 in a single month over the course of this summer. The demand was that high. So they've got no product. So that is going to make it hard to get some of the things I would like to give away. They literally don't have product. They can't even ship to their retailers because everybody's staying home and going, I'm finally going to get around to working on my recordings and I need this piece of gear, and they buy it. So the stuff is sold out, which I responded to him by saying, well, I'm sure Isotope didn't sell out of their software. So, yeah. Anyway, the Golden Gopher Award. There you go, Martin. I like that. Yeah, Fender has sold more guitars than ever. I don't know anything, in great detail about it, but our son-in-law is one of the top app developers at Fender. Whatever the Fender apps are, he is the Fender app guy, I think. He just switched jobs within Fender a month or two ago, so I don't know exactly what he's doing now. Maybe he's doing stuff for online. I don't know, but app development is his specialty. So he was over for dinner the other night with my daughter and their lovely little daughter Molly, who we adore, and he told me that Fender has just been going gangbusters. I'm really, and Gibson, I've heard that about as well. I'm really, really happy because the guitar companies have been taking it in the shorts for the last few years. So many people are doing keyboard-driven stuff because software has gotten so good that that's the direction. And pop music is so not software-driven, but electronic-driven and keyboard-driven. Software is a big damn deal, and guitars have fallen by the wayside, both in music that is made with guitars and people who need to buy them, blah blah blah. Anyway, I'm really, really happy to hear that the guitar companies have bounced back. Good to hear. Wow, Carrie says, the first 5 guitars I tried to order last month were back ordered. Yeah, and another part of the problem is, I said, well, that's a good problem to have. And he said, not really, as far as not being able to get gear into stores or even, to suppliers online, like Sweetwater. So the problem has been compounded by the fact that, first of all, sales are just going through the roof. Second of all, some of the factories that make the gear are shut down or working at diminished capacity because of COVID. And the shipping has been really hard, especially for the stuff coming from Asia, I would assume, elsewhere other than, and we're seeing this all, talking about it from a U.S. perspective, that getting the stuff here is hard. They can't afford to ship it on airplanes because that's too costly, so they've got to put it on boats. But boats aren't sailing because there's not enough product coming out of foreign factories to stock the boats or the ships. So I say the solution for that is bring all the factories back to America, create those jobs. Um, Catherine Thompson said, the ceiling lights behind you make a halo. I know. The first time I did one of these, which I believe was probably right around the end of March of 2020, um, people commented about the halo effect. My wife and I had just gotten that light, replaced the one in our foyer with this new one in February, I think. And so, yeah, when I started doing the quarantinis from home, people said, "Oh, that looks like a halo." So now I turn it on every day. Plus, it adds depth to the shot, right? Okay. Sorry, I'm reading, getting caught up in the chat. Heidi Owen says, what about a prize of a 1-year renewal subscription to Taxi? Anything's on the table. Absolutely. Okay. Hello, Pete Mason. Okay, so who wrote this? Is Bonzo here? Bonzo, raise your hand if you're in the chat or watching the show today, because I saw something you posted in the comments. I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate it when you go into the comments when the show is over. By the way, you can give us a like right now. We like those likes. YouTube likes the likes. And if you're not a subscriber to our channel, please hit the red button and subscribe now. And the comments are really helpful to me because, as I said when I started doing the quarantinis several months ago, I can't put the effort into structuring every quarantini like I do with the Monday shows. Those usually they can sometimes take me like better part of a day on a weekend to come up with stuff and research and write. The quarantinis were intended to be informal hangouts more than anything. Combining, gopher updates, tomato updates, zucchini updates, talking about the plant on the thing back there, and your lives and what you're doing, and occasionally throwing in some musical stuff. And it's turned out that I think they've been pretty educational. Heidi Owen says, I'm an angel, well deserving of my halo. Thank you, Heidi. Hello, Crash Gates. And we still haven't heard from Bonzo 230 to see if he's in the room, because I want to answer his question. And without him in the room, yes, fishing updates. I can't really answer the question. I'll read what he wrote, and hopefully... Oh, there he is. I'm here. Yay, he shouts. Awesome. Great, because I've got questions. So, anyway, Bonzo... let me grab a hit of coffee. Strongest iced coffee I'm literally, like, mumbling. I'm so out of it. And chugging that iced coffee. No, the taxi's not broken down, but the hood is up because I was doing an oil change right before the show today. Hey, Michael, this is from Bonzo. Could you talk about screeners using the term dated sounds on submissions being returned, and more specifically, what that actually means? I've gotten this a few times now, and the first couple times I understood I might have been using synths or virtual instruments from 10 years ago. But after upgrading to modern synths like Omnisphere, Native Instruments, who are constantly releasing modern sounds to go with their synth, and using current drum samples from modern companies, I've hit a wall here with where to try to go to next to make my sounds not dated. I even use presets inside these synths that are filed under modern hip-hop and still get that comment from screeners. Any tips? Appreciated. Thank you, sir. Well, you're welcome. So I've got some questions for you. So pay attention, Bonzo, because I need you to respond pretty quickly so I don't just sit there like staring at the screen. Okay, my questions are, number one, and you already kind of implied this in in your question, has it been more than one screener saying, and this is recently since you've updated your sounds, are you still getting the comments, and are you sure the comments are about the stuff you made with the newer modern sounds? So have you heard it from more than one screener, or is it a comment that comes up somewhat regularly from the same screener? I'm curious to know that. Man, it's amazing how being tired can make your vision blurry. Waiting for the answer. Maybe I should have more coffee while I'm waiting. That's so good. Bonzo says, I'm not sure if it's the same screener, but definitely on several feedback. I just submitted for the Electropop. Okay, well, we've had a few Electropops, so that doesn't necessarily help me. But so the next question I have is it the same piece? Has the same piece of music submitted to a couple of different listings or a few different listings? Have you gotten the dated sounds comment from more than one screener on the same piece of music? Curious about that. Okay, no, it's all different tracks every time. That's interesting. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Can you rattle off what you think the genres were on those? And then he got those comments after he went and tried to acquire some new modern synth sounds. Okay. All electronic based. All right, so you're not using like the same 4 or 5 sounds, like the same synth pads or the same drum sounds, on everything. I'm guessing because it's all electronic, but different styles within electronic and several different listings, EDM and hip hop. Okay, so that's interesting. And do they specify, if you have any of the critiques around, can you like quote them exactly? I would love to hear how they're telling you that it sounds dated. Because other people have alluded to one of the paths that I want to look at, which is, could it have been the melody and production? Are they saying, this sounds a little dated, or are they saying that synth sounds dated? All right, Bonzo's going to take a couple minutes and go look. All right, so while he's doing that, there was something else I wanted to answer. Andre says it's like the new song from The Weeknd. It's current but uses DX7. Oh, my least favorite instrument. Uses DX7 and sounds like the Aha hit from the 80s. Is that dated? It depends on context. My favorite word, everything is contextual. If it's a DX7 sound that's in an otherwise current and modern sounding track, then that is a nod to it being retro, which we talked about the other day. So no, that doesn't necessarily make it dated. If everything sounded, if all the instruments, Andre, sounded like they were from the DX7 era, not necessarily that instrument, and it doesn't sound like it was done with intent. It's kind of like a legal issue. What was the intent? And it's pretty easy to tell sometimes if somebody just didn't get it right or doesn't maybe know better and they used a bunch of older stuff and it just sounds dated versus somebody who clearly did it with intent as a nod to sounding retro. So let me get back to Bonzo here. Bonzo says they said VST. Simon Burnham wants to know if they listen to speakers or headphones. When they listen at the office, they either use their own headphones, which many of them bring. We've got, I don't know where I put them, Audio Technica, I can't remember the model number, headphones available to the screeners if they want to use them. But now, because of COVID, everybody's working remotely, so they could very well be working on speakers. I would imagine many of them are. Oh, okay. So Bonzo's quoting song, instrument sounds, or samples sound dated or of low quality. So that's one of the checkbox things. Okay. All right. So there's something to the fact that more than one screener has said it about more than one piece of music. So now I'm a little stumped because I could only guess at the answers if I'm not hearing it. So I've got an idea, Bonzo. Can you send 3 of those songs and the critiques that went with them to taxitv@taxi.com? That's taxitv@taxi.com. Liz will grab that stuff from you, and how about on Friday's show, if it's okay with you, that we play those tracks and listen to I'll read what the screener said, and we can see if we can all solve this problem together as a group. How's that sound? Yeah, Oraso says it could very well be dry synths that sound like that without reverb. Sometimes they stick out a lot. Yeah, I mean, there are a bunch of things that it could be, but we will get to the bottom of it, and we'll do it together. And thank you for bringing up this question and being amenable to sending that stuff in and letting us play it on the show Friday, because I think that it's a problem a lot of people would like to solve, and everybody will learn with us. 8-bit is the future of music. Yeah, our members love it. When we get those 8-bit listings and, they want like Pac-Man music or something, people go crazy over those and submit like crazy. And we get a lot of great stuff, actually. All right. People like my plan. True Flavor Productions likes my plan. There's a name I've never heard. Hello. Welcome to the chat room. All right. A good problem to have. What do you do when half of the taxi screeners are saying a song is great and the other half are saying it's close, but change X or Y? Am I trying the suggestions? We'll send to taxi again? I would, especially what you should do, Andre. I mean, Darren, why do I keep getting you guys confused? I would look for commonality in the screener comments. If something pops up once and it's kind of an anomaly and never gets mentioned again, okay, so that's how that person heard it on that day again, in the context of giving feedback for that particular request. I've said this 1,000 times, I'm going to say it once more. There are a lot of times where we hear really, really good music and you're like, well, why wouldn't you just forward it then? Because it's not the right music. A B-plus song that fits the scene will get a forward and probably get used in the scene faster than an A-plus song that's not really right for the scene. It's not like people hanging out, on the film and TV side. Music supervisors aren't sitting there going, excuse me, I wish I could hear some really awesome music today. They're sitting there thinking, I hope I can solve this problem by finding the right music. Question from Giovanni Lanza. What happens if you submit music 1 minute late after the deadline? I did it today for a computer internet problem. Honestly, I don't know. I would imagine that the submission doesn't go through. Don't you get like a submission receipt that shows that the credit card was charged? Um, Maybe, if it went through, I mean, the computer actually does like shut the gate on submissions. If it says 11:59 p.m. and you submit it at midnight, it won't go through. That much I do know. Um, Must be frustrating for a screener to hear great music that isn't the right music. I don't know if it's frustrating for them so much as they get really excited. The screeners are all passionate music lovers. Many of them are also musicians. So they just get flat out excited. Back, in the pre-COVID era, especially when like all screeners were working at taxi headquarters and we have 14 cubicles that they sit in. It was really common. I walked through that room a lot on my way down to the other end of our office suite. And I would see screeners standing up saying, check this out, man, and taking off their headphones, handing it to the person in the cubicle next to them. Sometimes they get so excited they'd pull the headphone jack out and just play it for everybody in the screening room. Some screeners like, that's cool, man. Other screeners like, dude, I was halfway through a critique. You totally blew my concentration. But I always appreciated their enthusiasm. Um, Yeah, Liz is mentioning that occasionally we can reopen a listing for a short time. Um, don't get in the habit of asking for that because, with thousands of members and, 100, 200 people submitting for some listings, if we start getting one person a week asking for that, is okay. When we get 12 people in a day, every time we run a big money listing, and those are almost always like really hard deadline stuff, we've got to get it in the industry person's hands on time every time. And people so badly want to nail those submissions or nail that request and get the gig that they'll stay up all night or stay up late at night and they submit, like 1 minute after the deadline. And then we come to work the next day and there's like 12 phone messages from that person saying, I blew the deadline. Please, can you open it back up for me? But the problem is when we do that, it slows down the process for the screeners that are really scrambling to try and make that deadline. And once people, get a taste of that, it's like heroin. It's like, oh, it's okay if I blow the deadline because Taxi let me submit late last time. There's nothing that upsets the A&R staff at Taxi more than people asking for deadlines, extensions, or opening things back up. Yeah, Mike S. says a lot of times similar listings pop up and your work is not wasted. Absolutely. Um, Here's Aaron Northern brings up something that we've been dealing with literally since week one at Taxi 28 years ago. I wish sometimes the screener would say, hey, it doesn't work for this, but submit it again for this other kind of listing. The problem with that is, oh man, I wish we could do it, but we can't. And here's why. We actually train the screeners not to say that. And here's why. Let's say that you submit, I'm trying to think of an indie folk thing, okay? And the screener listens to it and thinks it sounds more like singer-songwriter. So in the past, when they did do that, they would say, it's not really indie folk, but it's a really strong song, and if I were you, I would submit it for a singer-songwriter listing. Well, then a week later, a singer-songwriter listing pops up, and the member just goes, man, singer-songwriter, the screener said I should submit it for that. This one's going to be a slam dunk forward. And they submit it. And now the person screening it doesn't forward it. And the reason they don't forward it, even though it might very well be a legit singer-songwriter song, is because it doesn't fit what the listing asked for. Maybe it says, a singer-songwriter song, an introspective singer-songwriter song, um, about, you know, love relationships, but not romantic. Like I love my family, I love my dog, that kind of love, non-romantic love. So they submit it, even though the song is a love song about your girlfriend and it's singer-songwriter. Well, the other screener said I should submit it for singer-songwriter, and this listing was for singer-songwriter, and I can't believe this other guy didn't forward it. So one screener says it's singer-songwriter, and the other screener doesn't forward it. Well, they didn't forward it because of the fact that it didn't meet the criteria in the listing. So I hope you understand, but that's why we discourage the screeners from doing it. Akira Canyon. Oh no, that wasn't you. Who says I need another cold one? I saw Peter Rahill. I need another cold one. Be right back. Peter, we didn't even know you were gone. It's not like I can see you. Now, if I got up to go grab a cold one, that would be a problem. Uh, Bonzo says, I guess my next question for sounding dated is me being 42 years old the problem, but I constantly listen to and study modern pop charts? I don't know. Without hearing the song, it's hard to say. Um, and frankly, I'm not expert on a lot of those genres. I'm way older than you are, and so I may not be the judge of what's dated or not dated in the context of like modern hip hop or something, but I'm sure we've got people in the room that will know. So that's why we're going to give it a little group think. Um, Mike S says, I have 8 listings in my faves. I'm probably not going to finish any except for the last 2 or 3. Life happens. It does, but you know what? 2 or 3 is better than none. Keith Thompson say could be the chord progressions. Yeah, sometimes just like when you overdub on a track that is all computer generated. Let's say drums from a box, synthesizers, everything is out of the box, but then you overdub an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar or maybe some percussion played by hand. And it totally changes it from feeling like it was out of the box into like these are real players on it just by adding one instrument. So the same can happen in reverse, that you may have a track that is largely contemporary enough sounding, but just, the chord progression or just one instrument sound, just one thing can trick the brain into perceiving it as being dated. So yeah, we got to listen to it to really know. I wish I could give you better answers, but I can tell you, Bonzo, that if I were a songwriter or a composer, so much of what I would do would sound like music that I loved in the mid 70s. If I were going to jump back into the game, I would have to spend, I don't know, 20 hours a week, every week for months, just listening to contemporary, really contemporary, not like 5-year-old music, not 10-year-old music. I'm talking about whatever is, like topping playlists on Spotify today. That's the stuff I'd be listening to because I want that stuff to seep into my brain. I want those chord progressions, those sounds, those production styles to just become part of me without even thinking about it, because that's what producers do. You've got this deep bag of tricks that lives inside of you that you're kind of unaware that you've got, but when the moment arises that you need to pull one of those arrows out of the quiver, it's there, and you don't even have to think about it. So there you go. Right, and JP says, in really deeply listening. Yeah, you can't just casually listen to it. You've got to listen to it and think, as you're listening, okay, wow. Like the vocal phrasing on this is, let's say you're listening to a singer-songwriter song. It may have vocal phrasing that's completely different than how, like, a James Taylor would have phrased his vocals, or CSNY would phrase their vocals. Vocals today are phrased much differently. Choruses, we don't have a lot of songs or as many songs with like a pre-chorus that lifts you up into a big boom chorus. I mean, those are still out there, but a lot of hits today have much more subtle choruses. I'm personally not really a fan of that, but sometimes you hear a great song that's got that and you go, you know what? It works. And all these, it's fashion, It's like if, I'm trying to think of a good fashion thing, and being the father of 4 daughters, you would think I would have this nailed, but I don't. But, just like shoe styles, Hush Puppies came back in the early to mid 90s, man. Everybody had Hush Puppies again, and then they faded away again. If you put Hush Puppies on now, they're not like the style of the week. And styles do change pretty rapidly, and the same is true of music. The vocal phrasing is way different now. Andre says, listen to Justin Bieber, Intentions, so simple and beautiful, great example. Martin Gravel has a good suggestion. I'd say transcribe, reproduce as an exercise. Wow, hell yeah. Bonzo's pointing one out there. Woo, where'd it go? Guitar riff from the 80s compared to a guitar riff in 2020. Different sound. Same instrument, absolutely. Dean Crepane mentions reverse engineering a song for a genre. Robin Frederick, everybody, come on. You don't think that people who are hit songwriters have reverse engineered stuff hundreds of times over the course of their learning how to craft? True Flava says, should piano cues still be fully mastered and finally produced, even if the listing implies that it not be? Again, True Flava, you had a couple works not accepted for quality, but were listed to not be overproduced. You could literally have... what's the John Legend song that's just like piano vocal? You listen to it, it's like a masterpiece. I mean, the piano sounds amazing. The vocal is amazing. Did I say John Legend? I'm trying to think who the artist is. Anyway, it's production doesn't have to mean layers upon layers. Great production could simply be an excellent recording of a modern style of piano playing, a modern style of chord progression, and a modern style of vocal delivery, and a modern style of reverb or delay used on the vocal. All those things add up to be modern production or great production. Let's stick with great production in the context of this. So that's different. It's super simple. It's still a piano vocal, but you could have a piano vocal where the piano playing is kind of blocky sounding, or the piano doesn't sound that great. So the simpler it is, the more spectacular each little element. There may not be as many elements, but that puts a lot of onus on you to make the two elements, the piano and the vocal that are in there, spectacular from all those different perspectives. All of Me by John Legend. Thank you. That's exactly the song I was thinking about. I mean, just listen to that. You know what? When the show's over today, go listen to All of Me by John Legend, and you'll hear exactly what I'm talking about. Giovanni says, I noticed that. I did a big mistake. I read AM instead of PM, and 11:59 PM Pacific time is 9 AM in Italy. Of your tomorrow and my today. That was so confusing. I'm so sleep deprived that I couldn't even understand that, but I get it. Don't overthink mastering. Absolutely do not overthink Make sure your final audio file plays well compared to other commercial music. That's great advice, Iraso. That's what you want to do, is take a similar style of song and A-B it with yours. Bring it up. Bring it up on a pair of stereo faders, all faders set to 0, and then go A, B, A, B. So if theirs is at 0 and yours is at 0, is theirs louder? Can you bring yours up a couple of dB and go, okay, now it sounds very much like theirs, the level and everything? Or is theirs louder sounding because they've got mix bus compression? And it can be as tricky as maybe the attack and release on your mix bus compression gives a different kind of compression sound to it. So these are little things that you can't learn in a day or a week. Excuse me. But they're absolutely learnable because we've got hundreds, if not thousands, of members that have learned them. Wow, All of Me has 1.7 billion views. Holy crap. That's a lot of views. Bonzo says, I A-B'd all my pop stuff with Dua Lipa. I felt I got pretty close. I don't think I'd ever seen a picture of her until yesterday or the day before. She's very pretty, gotta say. Yeah, A-B comparisons. When you do an A-B, and I learned about this back in my early days of Criteria. A bunch of us would gather in the mastering room, and we would just sit there and listen. I think I mentioned this before. The bass sounds on Stevie Wonder records back in the day were really spectacularly good. And so, various engineers, if they were in the middle of mixing something in one of the 4 studios that we had at the time, they would come over. Actually, at the time it was 3 studios. So somebody might come from Studio C across the parking lot and bring their 1/4 inch into the mastering room, ask the mastering engineer to cut an acetate, which is kind of like a temporary lacquer. You use the lathe and everything. And they would listen to a Stevie Wonder record of a similar type of song with kind of a similar bass thing going on, and listen to that on a turntable, and then listen to the acetate that they had the mastering engineer cut of their song, just going through minimal compression and bottom end adjustment to see how close they were. And then they would go back and tweak their mix accordingly. Obviously, that's a luxury that most people in home studios can't enjoy, but definitely, A-B. I can't say enough about A-Bing. So Andre says 1 million plays on YouTube is a $7,500 payout. Wow. Okay, well, let's extrapolate that. Where's my cell phone? Let's do a little math. So, who's good at math? Because I can't think straight today. So, 1 million, to get it up to, let's say, 1 billion, would be 1,000 million. So, take 7,500, multiply that times 1,000, and it's worth 7.5 million. So there you go. If you get 1 billion plays, you're making $7,500,000. Wow. So, so he got that, but he got, what did you say? Where was it? 1.7 billion. So that's going to be roughly $13-14 million. Is that even possible? Am I doing that right? Wow. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Uptown Funk, one of the greatest songs to come out in the last 10 years, is at 3.9 billion plays. Gophers and math. Oh, man. All right. Well, we are at the end of the hour. I can't believe it. We've only got a minute left. Shouldn't it be 750K? I don't know. 7,500 times. Let's do it again. $7,500 times 1,000. Yeah, $7.5 million. Can somebody else try the math on that before we sign off? Tell me if I'm crazy. Mel is our shrink. Your hour is up now. I've not actually been to a shrink. Did go to a marriage counselor several times with my first wife, and I remember that. He always looked at his watch, go, oh, I'm really sorry to say, but our time is about up. $7.5 million. Anyway, all right. So remember, we are not doing a quarantine tomorrow because I need time to work on the road rally. But we will be back on Friday, and don't miss Friday's show because we are going to do an analysis of Bonzo's stuff to see what exactly was dated about it. Liz, you would be smart to hang on to that stuff till like Thursday night because tomorrow I'm going to try so hard not to pay attention to anything but road rally stuff. What else? And Monday, we're not doing a regular Taxi TV on Monday because it is Yom Kippur. Some of us have to atone for our sins and fast for 25 hours. That means no iced coffee for 25 hours. Well, there you go, guys. Great to see you. Thanks for hanging out. Bonzo, thanks for giving us a good topic to talk about today. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button. And if you want to be really cool, you can go up and hit that little bell icon, and that will alert you next time we go. Why can't we upload to 2 or 3 tracks each? Save that one for the Friday show, that question, call it. All right. There you go, and have a great day. I can go back to being a vegetable now. I'm so happy. Thanks, guys. See you soon.